What up, YouTube? Sprinting in gymnastics is this video. Last week, there's the video right there. Sprinters can jump. Check that video out after you're done with this video. But what does sprinting in gymnastics mean? So what I was trying to do, or what I was doing at the time, I want to develop my athlete's core. If anybody doesn't know anything about the core, you should listen to this wonderful human being talk about it.
It's always core.
Cool.
And yeah, abs and back exercise.
That's where the speed comes from.
I think that's the key to helping everyone, because when you're running, if your core is not strong, your legs, your knees they don't come up, and you tend to get injured more when you don't have a strong core.
So, listening to that wonderful human being discuss core, I was looking for sports that just, there's a tremendous amount of core strength you have to be good at it. So I chose gymnastics. So what I did was I went to YouTube, I started typing in core gymnastic exercises and all these other things. And really what was coming up was a lot of stuff that was extremely, I would say, complicated for me to understand. Okay, why are we doing this? And it wasn't all gymnastic stuff. It was just people saying, this is what we focus on. And this is a gymnastics workout, all kind of titles. And for me as a coach, I always try to make things simple. Being from a background of, my brother was a flipper, or still is a flipper. And what I mean by he would tumble and do different things. As he was doing that, I know we always discuss, or he would always say that, it'll create a strong core. So I'm remembering all these things, thinking about all these things. I know he did a lot of great exercises that helped build his core. And it was just a lot of flipping. That was the exercise. I can't specifically remember this, as I'm in my 40s and I believe he's 40. Yeah, he's 40 now too. So that was a long time ago. So as I'm diving in looking for exercises, I noticed something that was, I didn't initially notice when I looked at or viewed gymnastics, because most of the time I look at gymnastics on the Olympics or whatever I find on YouTube. I started to see, wait a minute. I have an athlete that's an ex-gymnast, and she's getting into gymnastics. And I was watching a video with floor exercise. The floor exercise, they would take 2 or 3 steps, and that 2 or 3 steps before they get into their tumbling, it looked extremely familiar based off my athlete. And what was so familiar was the angles of the steps, the posture with the spine, the posture integrity. I was like, that looks just like my athlete. And again, this was this might have been 8 years ago now that I think about it. But anyway, so what did I do with that? I was more excited, like, wait a minute, she's a good starter, and she actually would beat the boys out the block. So I assumed just because she just had quick twitch or she was fast. Honestly, it was her core. So I was like, I need to dive in and focus on more of the core. And here's what I say core is. Core is from here, let's just say, all the way a little bit past our hips. And I always view that as the core. In gymnastics, that is extremely important as you're doing jumps and backwards flips. If you want to flip across the floor, doing the floor exercise and flip back, that is an amazing amount of core and stamina and power that you have to develop over years. So when I'm looking at these first 3 steps of these athletes, every athlete is different. Every athlete is obviously that's on the screen is extremely explosive, but those steps are different depending on the athlete and obviously depending on what they want to accomplish. The biggest thing is the power, the acceleration that you have to get when you're starting your tumbling routine. And I could take that, and I was excited about that part. And I was like, let me watch more of these videos and let me take that and apply it to my athletes. And how did I apply it? Simplicity. Do not make things complicated. I couldn't do exactly everything that gymnasts do, with pointing your toes and different things, because as a sprinter, you need more dorsiflexion to apply the proper pressure. So I found exercises on YouTube, or core exercises, that really just focus on the sprinting and staying upright. As you see some of these and you see the moving of the arms and different things, I wanted the arms to be moving. It didn't always have to be looking like a runner, but I wanted to look like, they were accomplishing something when it came to the track. So what I really focused on was doing a lot of jumps, extending all the way through their arms to where they can extend their core, where they can open their core. A lot of band work, doing things with the band, and keeping things like the video that you see very simple. And it developed, and focusing on the athlete, in this particular athlete that one of my athletes is, she's definitely quick. She definitely understands how to move her body in those first 2 to 3 steps. Now it's just teaching her, because, as you see, gymnasts don't have the best arms, but why do they have to? They're only running 35 meters for the vault, and I can't exactly remember what the floor exercise is. So what did I do? I studied tumbling routines, and just kept viewing it. Not so much the tumbling, because, we're talking about running. I focused on the first couple steps, because as athletes, or at least my athletes, were developing the core, certain times, most sprinters, we hear to keep your head down, drive, all those things. If their core is strong enough and they're developing the power and their posture position is good, I didn't touch it too much. I may say, tuck your chin a little bit or certain small things, but I was trying to keep everything as simple as possible, because if you start to complicate too many things, especially if the athlete is already strong enough, then you start to develop certain patterns that are not fun at all, especially for the athlete, and definitely not for the coach. So this is what I was trying to accomplish with my athletes when it came to the core. Power output, extremely important, needed that. Overall core stability, just posture position, which helps while the athlete is in flight. And what I mean by flight, as a gymnast, they're most of the time, they're in flight, especially when they do their last or landing routine or the finale, or I'm not sure what you call it. But to be in that type of position in the air and control your body, you need core. You need core stability. So that was the biggest thing that I would focus on, is like, okay, I need some of this when the athlete is in flight, moving the arm, whether, opposite arm, opposite leg, that's obviously important. But being able to move your body as it's moving through the air, as you're creating force to the ground. So with the particular athlete, or my athlete, what I tried to capitalize on as best as I could was her flexibility. She liked hurdles, so we decided to, we're like, well, let's go for hurdles. And the biggest thing for hurdles for her was the first hurdle was always good, meaning she could get out the blocks, she had acceleration. But the toughest thing that I had to, I would try to drive and, driving her to her brain, I should say, is staying dorsiflexions to get in between the hurdles. Because a lot of times, again, a hurdler, she would point her toes too much and sometimes land in front of her hip, which wouldn't allow her to push to the next hurdle. So a lot of focusing on dorsiflexion and slower runs, working on her technique, dorsiflexion, like I said, I'll say it again, and being able to get her foot back on the ground and use her arms. And that is something we were developing. And that just takes time, especially when you have a background. And again, it wasn't like this athlete was bad. And most coaches may say about, her, oh, she should be running this faster. Well, none of that crap mattered to me. It was the fact of keeping her not injured and really focusing on being dorsiflexion, being flexed through the ankle, so she can get in between the hurdles. Obviously, I'm talking about 100-meter hurdles. So like always, bringing the conscious aspect to things. And here's the conscious part. It's making it simple, focusing on simplicity. So peace out, YouTube. Hey, folks. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh, yeah, hit that bell, so you can know more about Swift Sundays.